While I was at this program, we researched the topic of stem cells. Stem cells is a single cell that can replicate itself or differentiate into many different cell types. And while I came across this therapy that was used in a biotech company in China that basically treated type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
Really? With stem cells?
So basically what they did is they took multipotent stem cells, which basically means it could just differentiate into these different types of cells, and they used blood cells from the patient's body, and they put it into this machine, and basically what this machine did was re-engineer the blood cells to function in a completely different way. And then they just circulated it back into your body to see how it would work. It's basically like dialysis.
Dialysis, yeah, I've heard dialysis.
Okay. So basically they found that in patients with diabetes, the glucose levels increased and their insulin levels decreased as well, which is a good thing. So basically, I thought that I could use this in regards to a different disease like Parkinson's. Parkinson's is an autoimmune disease that is a progressive movement disorder, which basically means that if you have it, you have no control over your body movement. So you see people just like seizing up like this, tremors, things like that. And basically what is being affected by it is the substantia nigra. It's a region in the brain that is responsible for dopamine, the production of dopamine, and it controls your voluntary movements. So basically, if you, basically what the dopamine does is it's being sent along with your electrical signals from muscle to muscle, and it helps with the movement. If you don't have dopamine, you can't control your body movements. So basically, that's what it is. So Parkinson's disease is the death of neurons in the substantia nigra. The problem with this experiment is that the stem cell educator is targeted for our autoimmune diseases. So Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disease. But researchers from the Columbia Medical Institute have found that antigens are expressed in neurons in this region. So that may suggest that Parkinson's is also an autoimmune disease because the body is attacking these neurons, which is causing them to die. So basically, what I would do is I would take these stem cells, take blood from a patient with Parkinson's, and circulate it through the stem cell educator, so it could re-engineer it and recirculate it back into the body. So if these blood cells were attacking the substantia nigra before, it wouldn't after this therapy. So that would mean that if the treatment is effective, then the number of neurons dying in the substantia nigra would slow, and there would be increased dopamine levels, and the patients would gain some control over their voluntary movements. And other symptoms of Parkinson's is relieved. But this is all theoretical. So,
This is a treatment, correct?
yes, it's a treatment. There would need to be more research in the field to solidify that Parkinson's is not just a neurodegenerative disorder, but an autoimmune disorder too. And then from that, you can test it on animals to see if it actually works, and then like go through that long, extensive list until we can say that you can test it on humans to see if it's safe and if it's effective. Any questions?
Well, what do stem cells do in particular? I've heard of stem cells in the news, and I hear they're very controversial. So are they safe to use?
They're safe to use because they can differentiate into different types of cells. So if you needed a skin graft, you can take a stem cell and differentiate it into other skin cells to graft it onto your skin to cover the the uncovered skin, basically. So it is very safe.
So you're just delaying the symptoms then?
Yes.
But this isn't a cure.
No, but it could be a potential cure.
Could be a potential cure.
We don't know.
Well, fantastic. Your thought process is perfect. I like it a lot. Thank you very much, Amy.
You're welcome.